Watching my fourth lesson on ratios. This lesson will focus on being able to work with word problems and translate ratios from problems that are given or that could be given on tests. So this is kind of a way to review how to solve word problems and how to understand what you are doing when you're solving them. So remember, ratios are meant to represent a relationship between two or more things. So when we look at this first ratio here, if I were to use my pen, we have the ratio of 6 to 8. And this ratio represents circles to triangles. Whoops. Circles to triangles, right? 6 to 8, we have 6 circles, right? And 8 triangles. 6 circles, 8 triangles. 6 to 8. Simple. Now, if we simplify this ratio into 3 to 4, just like with fractions, right? I can divide this by 2. I can divide this by 2, so I'll divide both by 2 to get a simpler ratio. This ratio no longer tells me the actual numbers, right? This is telling me I actually have 6 circles, and this is telling me I actually have 8 triangles. This is telling me 3 to 4. It doesn't mean I've reduced the amount of circles and triangles. What it's telling me is for every 3, right? You can see 3 circles here. For every 3 circles, I must have 4 triangles, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this relationship is proven true. And so a simplified ratio is showing the relationship between two things. And it doesn't necessarily show you the actual number. So the simplified ratio here is you're saying for every 3 circles, I have 4 triangles. Not that I actually have 3 circles or only 3 circles. It's that for every 3, I should have 4 triangles. So we know how to represent groups as ratios, but can we show the groups the ratios represent? Well, so an example we can do is the total number of shapes are 16, right? And the ratio of circles and triangles is 3 to 5. How many circles and triangles are there? Right? How many circles and triangles are there? So we can take a look at this and go, okay, how do we find the number of circles and triangles when the ratio is 3 to 5, but there are 16 shapes, right? This is not saying I have 3 circles and 5 triangles. That's 8. That's not 16, right? This is telling me the relationship between circles and triangles is 3 to 5. So what that's telling me is for every 3 circles I have, I should have 5 triangles. So first step, we look at our total, right? We have our total, perfect. Then we add up all the parts of our ratio, right? We know our ratio is telling me there are 3 parts that are circles and 5 parts that are triangles, 3 to 5. So I'll add up my ratio, right? 3 plus 5 is now 8. Well, that doesn't mean anything yet, right? All that's telling me is that it's 8. Well, it's saying that there are 8 parts in total. Well, if there's 8 parts and 3 of them belong to circles and 5 of them belong to belong to triangles, then we can divvy up the parts accordingly by doing this. So once we have our ratio added up, see 3 plus 5 equals 8, and we have the total, we take the total, divide it by the 8, because again, 8 is the number of parts. This number will tell us how many shapes each part makes up, right? So we have a total of 8 parts because we have 3 parts circles, 5 parts triangles, so we have a total of 8 parts. And we divide 16 by that number, by 8, which gives us 2. So that's telling me for every part in our set of shapes, that equals 2 shapes, right? So one part equals 2 shapes. And there are 8 parts, because 8 times 2 is 16 shapes, right? If every part is 2 shapes, then I have 16 shapes. So far, so good. So I have this 2. What do I do with this 2? Well, again, we know our circle and triangle ratio is 3 to 5, which means 3 parts circles and 5 parts triangles. So I multiply it by the 2 that I got. 2 times 3, 2 times 5, 6 to 10. So I have 6 circles to 10 triangles. If my explanation was a little bit wordy, here's an easier one. If you're given the total number of whatever you're looking at, in this case 16, you want to add up your ratio, right? You want to add up your ratio to get 8. Once you get that 8, you divide the total by that number you got when you added up your ratio, and you'll get a different number. You take that number and multiply your ratio, right? I got 2 here, so I multiply 3 by 2 and 5 by 2, which will give me the actual numbers of circles to triangles, or the ratio that you're looking for. So we can do a couple of questions here. So we have 2 numbers that are in the ratio of 10 and 11. Their sum, and you should know sum means addition, right? Their sum is 168. So you want to find the numbers. Okay, well, the total here is 168. We found the total. It gives us the total, so we can do it this way. Then we add up this. So we go 10, 11. Oh, well, we add them up. That'll give us 21. Okay, so then we go 168, right? Divided by, right? I take the total. I divided what I added up by, 21, right? And that'll give me 8, right? That gave me 8. So what that means is I take this 8 and multiply the parts of the ratio. So 8 times 10 is 80, right? And then I multiply the second part. 8 times 11 is 88. And you can check your answer. Does 80 plus 88 equal 168? Yes. So then your ratio is correct. And that's your 10 to 11 ratio unsimplified. We've unsimplified the ratio to get the actual numbers. So the 2 numbers in our ratio are 80 to 88. Okay, so we have another one. We have a profit of 2,500 is to be shared among 3 partners in the ratio of 6, 9, and 10. How much does each partner get? Again, this one's giving us a total, and the total is 2,500. But this time we have a 3-part ratio. Well, it doesn't matter, because you just add up your ratio. Just like here with a 2-part ratio, this 3-part ratio, you just add them up. 6 plus 9 plus 10, that's 25. Right? So I have my total. I have what I added my ratio by. So I just go 2,500. Right? 2,500 divided by 25. Right? So now that I have the 2,500 and I divide it by 25, I get 100. And so if I take that 100, I can now multiply my 3-part ratio by that number and get 600, 900, and 1,000. And so now I can check my answer by going to 600, 900, and 1,000 add up to 2,500. Yeah. So now I know my answer is correct. I've unsimplified the ratio, and each person should be getting these values. So for this last question here, you can do on your own, and I'll just keep moving forward from there. So here's how you unsimplify a ratio when the total is given in a word problem. So if the total is given, and this only works if the total is given, you add up your ratio, you add up all the numbers in your ratio, and you take that number, and you divide the total by that number. Once you divided that number, you'll get a different number, and you multiply your ratio by that number. Right? So in this example, we had 2, we multiply our ratio by 2, and we'll get 6 to 10. So what if you get a ratio that does not have its total, right? What if they only give you part of the ratio? So in this case, we have the ratio, again, between circles and triangles is 3 to 5. The number of triangles is 20. How many circles are there? Well, we have the ratio 3 to 5. Now, I have a different way on the notes of doing this, but this way is a little bit quicker that I found out recently, and so I'm going to show you this way. So we have the ratio 3 to 5, right? Well, the 3 represents circles, and the 5 represents triangles, right? That's what it's telling us, circles and triangles. And the question's also giving us the number of triangles we actually have. So this is the relationship. This is the actual number of triangles. Well, we can have another ratio here, right? Well, which number represents triangles? The first or the second? The second, right? Because it says circles to triangles. So the second number should be 20 in our other ratio. So now we have something here to 20 is the same as 3 to 5. Well, just like questions we did in class, you look at the second number on this ratio and you look at the second number on this ratio. And you go, I turned 5 into 20. Well, how do you turn 5 into 20? You times it by 4. Well, whatever you do to one side, you must also do to the other side. So I times this by 4 to get 20, so I must times this by 4. Right? And so the number of circles, 3 times 4 is 12. I should have 12 circles. Another way you could do this is just by looking at the number that represents the shape you're looking for or the section you're looking for. So in this case, we're giving 20 triangles. So we look at the triangle part of our ratio. And so we divide the number it gave to us by the number represented by it in the ratio to give us 4. Or in this case, whatever in this case 4, but whatever number we need to multiply the ratio by. Then we just multiply the ratio by it, and that's it. So our recipe calls for butter and sugar in the ratio of 2 to 3. If you use 6 cups of butter, how much sugar do you need? Well, again, we could do it this way. We can go 2, 3 equals. Now, the 6 is for the butter. So which number represents butter? The first one, right? Butter and sugar. Butter and sugar. So we have 6 in our second ratio and something here. Well, I turned 2 to 6. Well, that's times 3. Right? So then I take this one and I times this one by 3 to get 9. So I need 9 cups of sugar. I can also do it this way. I have 6 cups of butter, but the ratio is 2 to 3, and the 2 represents butter. So I divide it by 2, which gives me 3. And so then I just multiply that 3 by the 2, and that'll work as well. Do this question on your own, see if you can solve that one. But when you are solving questions or word problems that only have one part of the ratio given to you, you want to take the number given to you, divide it by the number represented by it, then divide the ratio by that number. The new ratio will be the values of the part you're looking for. Or you could have 2 ratios written that I did over here, right? Write the ratio, write the second ratio with the number that's given, and find the second number that you're looking for. And you just make the equivalent ratio. So hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully it made sense. This should help you with word problems and teasing out the important information from them. Thank you for listening, and see you next lesson.